Welcome to another match preview where we look ahead to our latest westerly trip, our second attempt of the season. It's the rearranged trip to Salisbury. So not too many changes since last we were slated to meet Salisbury, just 3.5 weeks ago or so now. No changes in their playing squad at time of recording. So to their form since last week played, or were meant to play there at least, they immediately had a Tuesday night trip to Bath and suffered a 1-0 defeat. Alves scoring the winner there. That was followed up in emphatic fashion, 5-0 hammering of Hemel, which was the final nail in Bobby Wilkinson's metaphorical coffin. All 5 goals were scored in a frantic 16-minute second half period. Raget and Perez with a pair of braces, and Fasten made getting the other one. Another midweek game followed, at home this time, where they lost 2-0 to Worthing, Cashman and Smith scoring those for the Rebels. And then another weather-delayed match, this time in the FA Trophy, where Salisbury got the better of Chesham with a 3-2 win. Noah Coppin with a decisive goal in 5. They now face a trip to Sittingbourne next month. They played Slough on Saturday before we recorded. So going on those recent results, Nigel, it's literally anybody's guess which Salisbury side's going to turn up to face the Stones on Tuesday.
We said it in the original preview, didn't we, that they're newly promoted to this league, and they're one of those sides that you're in that little mix there of like mid-table teams in that little bunch, aren't they? I know they've dropped a little bit through not having games, and they're only sort of 5 points above the relegation zone now. But yeah, you just never know what team's going to turn up. They could go and beat the top team, or go and lose to a team that's in the bottom 4, can't they? So it's one of those, isn't it, that you've just got to manage our own expectations and put in a professional performance. You know, we've done the homework for the original game, so we have our plans in place. Sort of the advantage for us now is that we've got Matt Rush and Sol. I know Sol and Joe Smith had signed before the original game, but it was only sort of a couple of days before, so he had that sort of game time now in the team, and you'd hope that they'd be more settled and sort of aligned to what we're trying to do on set pieces and attacking and defending and stuff like that. So there's probably more positive changes for the Stones in that respect. I know they got a good result in the trophy against Chesham, which obviously keeps their interest in that competition going into the new year. But yeah, it's as you were, as they say, isn't it, really? As you were.
Now, if you can't remember all of the players and details from before the last meeting, don't worry, just head back to our previous Salisbury preview video and podcast for more information on Tuesday's opponents. The links to the video and podcast are both in the description below. Now, if you can't make it to the game on Tuesday, Stones Live won't be able to broadcast. Nothing to do with our hosts, who were very welcoming last time we tried to broadcast from there. So you'll either be able to keep up to date with Ben's updates on Twitter for the club. Local BBC radio may be there, but Salisbury's own club radio should be broadcasting on MixLR, or the game will be available on DAZN, the new home of National League TV. So please hit us up with more of your questions on Blue Sky, and we shall try to include them in future editions of the preview. Daniel posted one on Blue Sky for us. He asked, now we've seen everyone once, roughly, what are we saying for relegation and promotion? Thanks, Daniel, for that question. So, Nigel, we're nearly at the halfway stage, and I know we've been caught out on doing some of these videos before with our old mucker Joe, of course, but we're going to have a quick run through this between us. I won't leave you hanging, don't worry, I'll have a pitch in myself as well. Now we've almost played everyone, where do you think everyone will end up? So we'll have a top 7 and a bottom 4. Where are you thinking? Have we got, is it as it is now, or are we thinking there's going to be some changes in there?
Yeah, it's a good question, isn't it? I think that I don't think that Maidstone will be up there. I think, with those playoff places, 6 available for the playoffs, I can't see no reason why we won't get in there. I don't think, looking at the teams we have played, we've got that good away record, as we've said in previous videos. We've played a lot of the teams that are expected to be out there, the bigger budget teams, and all away from home. So like the Dorking, Torquay, Bournemouth, all those teams will have to come to Gallagher Stadium. So I think that's a positive in Maystone's favour. I think Truro, the teams that are up there that weren't expected to be up there, I think they're going to stay the course. Dorking, Bournemouth, I fully expect to be up there. Worthing again will be up there.
I think Farnborough's the only one you've not mentioned out of the current top 7.
Yeah, Farnborough and Eastbourne are in there, and they're Slough, all those sort of teams in that same mix, aren't they? Just like we said before, there's no runaway team this year. So
looking at it again, because we're recording this a couple of days before the Truro game, there's 10 points separating Truro in first and Tunbridge sat in 13th. So
exactly.
It's such a tight patch.
It's just going to be about the consistency, and as we saw with Braintree last year, they made that good run towards the end of the season, and you just carry on that momentum through the playoffs. So, I think anyone in that, I think your normal ones that you sort of thought about at the beginning of the season, the 4 like Torquay, Bournemouth, Dorking, Ast will be out there. I'd probably say, I don't know who I think is going to win it. Probably maybe Torquay. I think out of the teams, although. We should have beaten them down at their place, shouldn't we? But
yes,
it was a mistake by us. Again, you can look back on all those goals that we've conceded. They've been mistakes by us. Dorking away, we played 2/3 of that game down to 10 men, and you'd think that a team that were sort of had aspirations to win the league would, even if it was against a team that's of similar sort of stature to them and ability wise. Having that numerical advantage for 2/3 of the game, you'd be able to see the win out, but they didn't. So, so there's no standouts there. But so I'd say probably Torquay would be my winners at this stage.
Aside from the west side of the country, more likely to take it, you'd think. With them, Truro, Western potentially.
I think again
well.
they're sort of similar to Truro in the respect that they've got they've just under new ownership, aren't they? So that they've got a big fan base down there anyway that have been starved of success for so long. So that will sort of carry them come the end of the season, and they'll be able to get new signings in. You imagine them to strengthen their squad as they come towards that deadline for signings, and just have that momentum to carry them over. But I say it's all up for grabs. All the positions are up for grabs, and then down the bottom again.
Quickly run through it at time of recording. Weymouth on 12, St Albans 13, Enfield 14, Aveley 15, then that little gap around the dotted line, Bath 19, Salisbury 20, Welling 21, Hemel 22, Chippenham and Chelmsford 25, Hampton Richmond 27, and then the aforementioned on 28. So there is that group of 4. They did seem quite islanded for a time, didn't they, early on this season, but they've slowly just... frankly, taking points off of each other, I think, is where they've got the bulk of their points, that bottom 4, and it's just seeing, the likes of Bath, Salisbury, Welling a perennial down there as well. They've had some budgetary issues this season, had about half a dozen players had to go. I think Anointed Chukwu only went to Enfield in the last 48 hours or so since we've been recording this. So, Welling for me potentially, that's going to come back and bite me on the backside come New Year's Day presumably, but that might be one for me that... from looking at the data and looking at them going, we've not got as much money in as we'd like, we're going to drop even further potentially. I
think it's going to be interesting at Hemel Hempstead as well. They very much remind me of Taunton last year, early season pace setters.
Yes, they were,
Won their first, I think it was 8 games, wasn't it? Or was undefeated in their first 8 games, and then haven't won a game literally since then. 15 games, I think it is now, without a win, and a lot of those, been morale. Would have really hit the morale, the defeats they've had.
The Dorking one on the Monday sprang to mind.
Even going away to Salisbury and losing 5-0, that was obviously the nail in Bobby Wilkinson's coffin. But again, they're not going to have the backlog of games like Taunton did because they play on a 3G pitch. So you think they get their games on, but it's going to be interesting to see how Lee Allison, who's gone in there, if he can galvanise that squad that's obviously going to be short of confidence and get enough points to sort of. Just keep them above that dotted line, so-called, so they're not in that dogfight come the end of the season. But of the ones that you think would potentially get out of it, Enfield do pick up the odd result here and there. They beat Tunbridge the other evening and look quite good in doing so. But they are sort of quite a way adrift. Well, they're not quite a way adrift, but they've got the mountain to climb, haven't they? The teams there being on the bottom of the league. Aveley, with their fighting spirit, you'd think that they maybe would put up a bit of a fight. They might be the ones that do come out of it, but Yeah, it's again, it's about that. If you can just string a few results together, you can get yourself out of it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's the teams that don't think they're in a relegation fight that come the end of
Over
the
the
season,
shoulder.
Yeah, you just drop into it. So
Like in the mechanics.
yeah, it's that. Like we said, it's a competitive. It's the most competitive I've known this league for a good few years, and teams do beat each other. So it's just going to be that consistency at both ends of the table. If you can get those string of results together and get that little bit of momentum behind you, you'll do well. But equally, the flip side of that is if you lose a couple of games back to back, and they're quite stonking defeats as well, it can go the other way, and you can suddenly find yourself in the hot stuff.
You can. And thank you again for that question, Daniel, on Blue Sky. Do keep them coming in on the socials, and we'll try and include them in future editions of the preview. So the former Earl of Salisbury, Robert Gascoigne Cecil, invented the phrase, "Bob's your uncle." Well, he's hoping Maidstone don't meet their aunt on Tuesday. Think it through. Our thanks, as always, to you for watching or listening to the latest preview. Like and subscribe on YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts, just search for the Maidstone United podcast, as you all know to do by now. See or hear you for our next preview ahead of the Farnborough Home League game, where I shall depart for the first time this season and leave you in Joe and Nigel's capable hands. Stop cheering back there, please. Thank you. Thanks. And as always, come on,
You stones!